Well, here we go. I guess this is the official 1 week we're in. 1 week we've been doing it, so it should be good. Well, I don't have much in terms of drama to report back, personal hardships that took place this week, because it shouldn't be that way. This is the first week. I think more than anything, we'll just blabber on and see where it takes us. I know that I did want to touch upon cardio, fluctuations, and then essentially a question that I keep getting a lot is, why is my dietary fat so low relative to, I guess, my overall caloric intake? Well, I'm gonna start off with the personal and then move into prep and then things that are surely of interest to you guys. I know it's my shit, but hey, this is also my log and I want to vent and talk about things that are current to me. So life is good outside of the gym. This is probably, I guess, like the first time in my life that I can say I've felt like I've made it in the fitness industry. And what I mean by that is the fact that too close, right? That yeah, just recently I had my mom move in with me. I told her to, hey, leave everything in California, come over here, stop working, retire, and do what you want with your time from now on. And that's big to me because as a kid I would always tell her to, that I was going to one day take care of her, and I'm kind of doing that now. So that is of great importance to me. It makes me feel real good, and like, to me, this is like living the dream, man. Like the places that we were raised in as kids, man, oh man. Like when you move to a suburb in Oakland at some point, Oakland, California, home of the sideshow, and like your mom is like ecstatic that this is like finally an okay place to like raise kids. Dude, that tells you a lot in regards to the places myself. Tells you a lot in regards to the places that my brother and sister and I were raised in. So dude, look, like, this is where I get to live now, and I brought my mother along with me, so that part is fantastic. I think more than anything, what I want to touch upon this week is going to be the fact that this is probably how we're going to do a lot of our chatting. I was going to actually like make a little create a little corner in the room, like a confessional corner, but I think this is much better. Just something about that seemed rather cheesy. Something about that seemed perhaps a bit just like depressing. So let's get out here and talk about the latest occurrences. So yeah, this week has been a transitional week for sure. I think the biggest thing has been just running out of food. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to an app telling me that, hey, you can't eat anymore. So that's a little different. That's definitely been a bit of a stressor. Weight has been coming off, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of the food choices at this point are not very satiating, so there's less food bulk in me. My water intake is still that, which is very similar to basically my off-season water intake, which isn't none. And sometimes a little extra water helps you feel less hungry, but at this point I can't say that I'm in tune with my appetite, or I haven't resorted to like just naturally increasing my water intake. So I think that's one of the reasons that I've been weighing in the low 170s. But after these 2 days of refeeding on Saturday and Sunday, we should see ourselves pop up back close to the high 170s, maybe even 180, which kind of brings me to my next point, which is going to be the fluctuations. I think at this point I really don't see fluctuations. I step on the scale in an effort to like gain data, and not necessarily in an effort to see if it's a good day or a bad day, good news, bad news. Typically I will commit to a intake that I know is going to yield fat loss, and I know that a lot of you guys out there who are a little bit newer when it comes to fat loss can't really say that like these are numbers that work for me, this is a caloric intake that works for me. At this point I can, so I know that even if the scale is doing this, that we're generally heading in the right direction, and if I give it enough time, that's usually what does happen, is that I see that yeah, the trend going downwards. But I mean, when you think about it, it's quite miraculous that I'm about to get barked at by dogs. That we can weigh relatively the same, like day after day. You know, the fact that, you know, how much food volume is eaten from one day to the next, our physical activity, sleep and awake times, hydration, the fact that all that stuff, what comes out of us, right? The fact that all that just varies so much, but we're still like weighing relatively the same day after day. That's something that people tend to forget. So yeah, when it comes to my weigh-ins, I really don't freak out. I set an intake. I know it works. It feels like it works. And what I mean by that is that there's certain parts in the day where I'm obviously long hair problems. It doesn't feel like the most, I guess, efficient way of powering through your day, right? So yeah, in this week has been filled with, I guess, fluctuations or odd weigh-ins, but I think over time we will kind of start to see or get a better idea of what is actually happening. So that is, I guess, my little rant on fluctuations. Weigh in to gather the data. Don't weigh in anticipating good or bad news. If I get a low weigh-in, I scratch my butt and move on with my day. If I get a high weigh-in, I scratch my butt and move on with my day. And then eventually, at a more objective time, a time where that I've set out to make these decisions, I will look at the string of weigh-ins, which usually it's 2 to 3 weeks, and then decide where I'm at. And this is, I guess, one of the perks of having a longer prep, right? If you have a 12-week prep, you really can't be doing that. And again, besides, there's many other reasons why a 12-week prep isn't, or a shorter prep, not necessarily 12 weeks, but a shorter prep probably isn't ideal. However, this is definitely one of those limitations, is the fact that it just doesn't give you enough room to work. So that is, I guess, how the scale has been treating me. I look flatter, not necessarily leaner. You know, that skinny fat start to any fat loss diet. In regards to cardio, we're definitely going to be using cardio this go around. I think last time I just wanted to prove to myself that I didn't necessarily need it, or I think not necessarily prove to myself. There's really nothing to prove there. More than anything, I just wanted to see how far that could take me. And it took me pretty far, but I think things could have been a little bit more efficient with the addition of some cardio. So we'll definitely be doing it. I mean, dude, right? We should be doing it. It gets us out of the house. Then from here, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, so I guess in regards to the dietary setup and how I am going about that, camera overheated, and then it won't let me turn on. Not that you guys need to know that. Okay, so I guess the ratios have been kind of skewing people. That's a question that I got many times over, is why such a low-fat diet? What about you know, what's that going to do for you hormonally? Why are you doing this was basically the question. I'll start off by saying that it took a while to get here. This is, my first prep was a decade ago, 2007. And, you know, over time, you develop, based on research you've gathered on yourself, a good amount of data to decide what is best as of now. And as of now, that is what works best. Like keeping my fats, I guess if you do the math, they're somewhere around maybe 15-ish% of my calories. I really don't ever follow percentages or base my diets off that. However, that's about where they sit. So I guess given the caloric intake, why is my dietary fat so low? It just works. It works. Like, and a big part of it is just the fact that like my muscles are so insulin sensitive that they just, everything just does so much better when carbs are higher and fat is low, and my body just does a really good job in getting a lot of the things that does a good job in mobilizing fat. And with that, I think what happens is a lot of what I would get from dietary fat in my diet, my body just gets from what is already stored. So My first prep, I did a low carb, higher fat diet because that is what was in fashion. I ended up getting to about 12% body fat, and my hormonal system was like done, done. I was so shocked that that could actually happen. That's how I found out. And then every prep since then, dietary fat has been much lower. The last two, I'd say, right around where they're at now, and I've never had since my first prep issues with hormones. A lot of the issues that your typical males do get from contest dieting, and a lot of that is just, honestly, I just think it's genetic. Whereas I think contest shape is just not that far away from my low end body fat set point. So I'm fortunate in that sense. But the fact that it happened to me before the hormonal issues had a body fat that was closer to what I rock in the off season, on a lower carb, higher fat diet, kind of goes to show you that this whole issue is a little bit more complicated than that. So for example, if I were to add 20 grams of fat to my diet, I think I would hear a lot less whispers in the audience. However, that is roughly 180 calories, right? We're adding 180 calories if we add 20 grams of fat. I hope my math is right. And when you think about it, that is not enough to make a difference in regards to how or where that's going to take your hormones. A lot of the things that we associate with healthy hormones have a lot more to do with the amount of body fat you are carrying. So for example, if someone loses 10 pounds of body fat, they lose 10 pounds of body fat, that is 35,000 calories of stored fat that they are now missing. And that is what your body is keen on. That is what is more so the determining factor. Those 35,000 calories are missing in stored body fat. That plays a bigger role in how you are doing hormonally, as opposed to those extra 180 calories you might be taking in on that day. So I hope that makes sense. So you're kind of being short-sighted if you're solely looking at your intake, your dietary fat, as opposed to your stored body fat and what actually, wreaks havoc hormonally. So anyhow, it works. It gets me lean super quick. I get to train really hard. I feel good. And bottom line, it works really well for me. Not that I recommend it. I do not recommend it for to the majority of people. I'd say maybe 1 out of maybe 50 athletes that I work with ends up using ratios that are similar to my own, maybe less. So that is weight fluctuations, cardio, why my diet is the way it is. What we're going to do next is let's get into the week's worth of training. What we have this next week. This last week was an intro week, so there was nothing super exciting that went on. We were just acclimating to the volume that we will get rolling with this week, which was a little bit higher than I was using towards the end of my last training cycle. So we'll go over all that stuff. It's a full body routine, training 4 days a week. I'm enjoying it, and it's really, really working, I feel. So it worked well for my last leg of my off season, so I definitely feel that it's going to be pretty effective in regards to helping me maintain the progress that I did make this off season. So anyhow, before I peace out, hey there. Let's look at this trail one more time. I love sunny days, but sometimes weather like this just hits the spot. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, today is March 22nd. I guess we can consider this the second official day of the contest prep, where everything from this point on will be pretty on point. We had about 2 or so weeks of dieting prior to this, but to say that they were ideal, not at all. A lot of interruptions, but that was kind of planned, and I didn't expect myself to see myself really taking flight until now. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take flight and be in a very different place in a relatively short amount of time. So 172 this morning. I don't think that is like a true weigh-in, to be honest. After this week's refeeds, I plan to be a bit higher, somewhere around the 177 to closing in on the 180 mark, maybe even, and then we'll start chewing away through the week's glycogen. So very light weigh-in today, but it's kind of an outlier weigh-in. It's one of those weigh-ins that, just like when you see a really high weigh-in on the scale, you freak out. The same thing kind of goes when it's a really low weigh-in. It's like, that's not what you weigh. That's just what happened today for a number of different reasons. So yeah, outlier weigh-ins, we don't really take those into account. We look at the general trend, and general trend sometimes means like not even a week, but like what's happening every 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, that is what we're starting. That's what we're starting today, and I'll try to film little things here and there, so long as it's not too invasive to my personal life, and I'm still having fun with it. All right.
It's the back. I know. Quarter turn to the left. Not how it goes. Front double by. So you gotta do it, bro. It doesn't matter if you like it or not.
What's he have to do?
Front double by. He was like, I don't like that one.
Skip that one. That sucks.
Yeah. Good. See, back double by. Hop on in there, Brian.
You train under that. It's an unfair advantage.
Good. Side tricep?
I'm not used to blowing my air out. This one always looks
Good. What do they say? Sit on it. Sit on it.
SPCA, SPCA.
What's that mean?
Did I say it wrong?
PSA?
Oh! Well, that's good
PSA?
too. The SPCA, don't forget to donate, okay? Give them all your money. Save the puppies. Puppies are good.
It's
Yeah.
the ASPCA.
That's what, see, I fucked up 3 times.
Why do you follow him?
I went to public school.
Don't follow him
I went to public school. Sorry. That was a joke. I knew it all along, and public school is what you make out of it, just like the gym. This gym actually was a very not so popping gym, but over time we've got it popping. Intro week, so nothing was popping when it comes to my stuff this week. We were just kind of getting acclimated, getting set up for what is to come. The last training block was super successful, and I am not changing too much when it comes to my training. I got strong enough. I made enough strength increases during my last training block that nothing really has to change. So for example, this is one of the reasons that I am such a fan of just progressively over time getting a wee bit stronger, because it's a very practical way of adding volume. And if you're getting stronger, chances are it's about the right amount of work for you. So for example, my front squat max went from 370 to like an estimated low 380s. So obviously, if I run the same program with the new maxes, it's technically a new program with new challenges. So I'm really looking forward I took a peek at the training cycle, and there's a few days later in the training cycle that I'm just really licking my chops about. So training should be quite progressive the first 8 weeks of this diet. I don't see why not. It's something that I definitely take is almost a challenge. Like, hey, let's see if we can get stronger with less food the first few weeks. And the last few preps, it's been that way. I don't see why this one won't. Holy flatness, right? But yeah, I think the mindset going into any contest prep diet or any fat loss phase is like, yeah, let's try to improve the first few weeks, and then once things start to slow down, and then you're just fine to maintain, and then you're fine to slow down the rate of regression, you end up in a not so bad place. So again, the first few weeks, I think it's definitely possible to make some improvements, especially when it comes to strength. So yeah, intro week, which kind of serves as a deload week before we get started with the actual training. One question that I will get often is about the whole deloads, and should you do them when you're going through a fat loss phase. And I think, to me, it's a very obvious answer, and the answer is yes. I mean, think about it. Like, when you are training in a caloric deficit, you just don't recover quite as predictably as you do when you're eating enough. So that's even more reason to actually have a program that has you deloading at what I feel is appropriate intervals given your caloric situation. So maybe in the off season it might have been every 6 weeks, but towards the end of your contest prep it's every 4 weeks. And it sounds counterintuitive, but long term this is going to help you salvage a lot of your performance, which will eventually help you salvage a lot of your lean body mass that you worked so very hard on during the off season. So everything is clicking. Everything is fantastic. Started, I guess, the diet officially with an intro week, so kind of a chill week. And I look forward to actually getting to work this next week, which is going to be the week with the most volume for me. So I'll be able to bring back, some better footage this next week, and more sardines. They've been like a staple, my one funny prep food so far. But yeah, other than that, we're just going to get to business. We're going to get this rolling. I hope you guys enjoyed this, got something valuable from it. This next week should be a little bit better, and the training and the progress should be a bit more exciting. But here's a puppy for now. I'll see you guys next week. That is what I got for you guys as of now.